So my next guest is a good old friend of mine and former business partner, Alex Greve. And Alex is Dutch, calls himself a food techie, and lives with his wife and children in Malta. He's the founder of KickDish, which is an e-commerce app which unifies meal planning and grocery shopping. It's currently launched in Malta and is looking to expand that into the UK and Europe this year. Let's have a listen. Hi, I'm Alex Congdon, and this is the Expat Business Hero podcast. Alex, great to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alex. Good to be here.
So how's the weather down in Malta?
It's uncommonly bad, actually, at the moment. Usually around this time of the year, it's amazing, brilliant sunshine. But right now, it's a bit stormy and cold.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's I guess one of the choices you make when you go abroad, and you got to live with whatever weather they give you. So
exactly, I don't mind it. It's nice. It's nice and fresh. There's oxygen. That's good. I can breathe.
All right, Alex. A little bit of fun to start with. I've got some rapid fire questions for you. True or false, or explain your answer in a little bit more detail. Okay. So today's topic is stereotypes of the Dutch. But you're Dutch.
All right.
Being Dutch, you'll be good at this. So anyway, 5 questions, pretty easy. Okay, so first one. All the Dutch love a bargain.
True.
Okay. The Dutch are frank, blunt, no-nonsense people.
Absolutely true.
Okay. There are very few Dutch vegans because everyone's addicted to cheese.
False.
Okay, as a nutritionist, you have an opinion on that. That's good. Is it true that the Dutch smoke weed all day?
False.
Okay.
Only the tourists.
Only the tourists. All right. Okay. And the final one, which I really want to know, is the Dutch, they all wear wooden shoes.
False.
Okay. Where did that come from? Why did it?
I don't know. Maybe an NBC reporter, the same one who said that all Dutch skate to work every day.
Okay. Good. That's all cleared up. Appreciate that, Alex. Okay, Alex, you're the founder of KickDish. So please tell us a little bit about that business and why you started it.
Sure. So KickDish used to be Body Watch, which you know personally as we worked on it together. You were one of the early investors in Body Watch. And I started it because I noticed that when you have to plan your meals for whatever reason, if it's for convenience or if you're managing a health condition, it's bloody hard. It's a lot of work. So I basically started out with creating meal plans for people that are on a specific diet. And with a specific diet, I mean people that have food intolerances. So, for example, a gluten allergy or an intolerance or a lactose intolerance. And me being diagnosed with some food intolerances myself, I experienced the problem firsthand. And I thought, hey, not only do I want to create some solutions for myself, but I also saw a market there because I heard that a lot of people were struggling with planning meals and getting groceries done. So that's it in a nutshell.
And in terms of you personally wanting to, create a business versus getting a job like everyone else does, why that choice?
I don't think I had a real choice. For me, it's always been about wanting to be an entrepreneur and wanting to be independent and building something that adds value to the marketplace. I know it sounds very plastic, but for me, it's about being able to be creative. It's about creativity, and I could never get that kind of satisfaction. To speak with Mick Jagger in a job in a normal, why normal, but in a kind of traditional corporate context. So I've worked for some corporates, but I always felt stifled in a way in that environment. So for me, it was always something on my mind and something that I eventually did and I went for it.
So I understand from the business today that you're trying to link up this app, this food planning app, into the retailers themselves.
Correct.
So why are you doing that? And is there something around consumers' habits changing with regards to planning meals that's driving this?
Right. Yeah, so the reason why I do that is that I want to make planning meals and getting groceries done as easy and simple and convenient as possible. So, and we all have this supercomputer in our pocket, and there are already a lot of recipe solutions out there. What I didn't find was one seamless solution that just covers all. And with seamless, I mean that from one single interface, one app, you can identify recipes that are good for you, plan them for the week ahead, generate a grocery list, and get those groceries done, pay for them, plan the delivery, etc., etc. So the whole spectrum from one single interface. I didn't see it out there in the market. I wanted it. And by talking to other people, I found out a lot of other people wanted it as well. So that's what I set out to do, making it seamless. That really was the inspiration, and what still gets me excited today to build.
So going back then, how did you end up in Malta?
Well, the simple short answer is because my wife is from Malta. To be honest, I don't think that I would have chosen to move here on my own if I hadn't met her. We basically met in Holland, in the Netherlands. My wife was working there, and that's where we met. And we wanted to travel, and we wanted to go abroad. She got a job offer in Switzerland, so that's when we moved to Switzerland. Lived there for 8-9 years in total. And at some point in time, when kids came into play, we thought, well, it would be nice to live close to the grandparents, either in the Netherlands or Malta. And we chose Malta, also because my wife had set up a business here and was traveling a lot between Switzerland and Malta. And as you know, with kids and traveling away for work, that gets a bit complicated. So we decided let's move to Malta, and the rest is history.
Does it help the fact that you're both business owners in terms of being able to talk about the ups and downs of running a business or creating a business?
Yeah, it does, absolutely. Yeah, we are sounding boards to each other. So even though she's in a complete different business than I am, she's in law. She's a tax lawyer. You do stumble upon the same kind of hurdles and barriers of conducting business, and it definitely helps. It's also complicated, both being an entrepreneur, because, well, in modern times, and especially as an entrepreneur, work never stops. So to kind of balance it all out, family life and your own ambitions of running a business is a challenge. And if one of the two partners, has a fixed job with fixed hours, although I have to say, where are the fixed jobs with fixed hours nowadays? I mean, also through technology, we're always on, we're always working. But maybe that would also give some benefits to it. I don't know whether I'm expressing myself well, but
no, understand.
There are pros and cons to both being entrepreneurs, I guess.
So talking of pros and cons, what about Malta? Pros and cons of doing business in Malta?
So how long do we have, Alex?
Keep it short.
All right. So, well, I think it's all about culture, right? I mean, I think you discover your own culture and your own cultural background as soon as you go abroad and work somewhere else. Then all of a sudden, you realize you realize your own upbringing, your own rituals that you just take for granted when you live in your own country. And one thing about living in the south of Europe, if you can generalize the south of Europe, is I've never realized the importance of punctuality for me. Being from the Netherlands, having lived in Switzerland as well, where punctuality is such a high, it's such seen in high regard. I don't know whether that's correct English, but it's such an important value. I never realized that it was so important for me because you take it for granted. But it's a bit different here, and it's through that experience that you learn actually what punctuality is, because you would never discuss it back home. This is punctuality. You would just do it, right? It's normal. You are on time, and not being on time, especially structurally, is a sign of disrespect. So that is something that I sometimes still struggle with. The pros are that it's a very business friendly legislation, both tax wise, but also with regards to setting up a company. The costs involved, it's very friendly. How long do you want me to go on?
What are the main industries that Malta is trying to attract?
Okay, so tourism, of course, is the main driver, and Malta is doing very, very well on that in that field because of the fact, knock on wood, it's relatively safe. Some other destinations have, of course, been scared with got a scare with some assaults, and Malta has been doing well because of that. So a lot of people that used to go to Turkey or Tunisia are choosing Malta. With regards to other business, iGaming is huge on the island. So the gaming industry here has caused a huge property bubble, but also a huge influx of expats from all countries, mainly Swedish, UK.
And in terms of, I guess, the single biggest struggle or issue that you had as you developed the business, does anything come to mind?
Well, I think, if you are in tech, which I am, the biggest issue I had was converting your ideas into products. Everyone can can write a business plan. Everyone can create screens or talk about their vision and their passion and get feedback from people. Wow, that would be really cool. But to actually do it and to build a product is hard. So what I've done in the early years is I used to outsource development a lot. And that could be to people in India, or it could be near shore, or people in the US. But I find it always very hard to get exactly what I envisioned, and since you're also managing a black box, you don't really know what it takes to build a product. If you don't have the coding skills or the coding knowledge, you always feel like, okay, maybe I'm being ripped off, because why is this taking so long? Isn't it simple? You as a programmer, you just write a few lines of code and you're done, right? And as you get more experience, you gain more experience, you learn that it's not that easy. And for me, the big switch was, at some point in time, I just said, okay, I'm just going to pick up coding. I'm just going to start doing it myself. Why? Because I wanted more control. I wanted more understanding. What does it really take to build an app, or to build a website, or to build a web application? What does it really take? I just wanted to know, and I wanted more control. And I actually liked it. I was surprised. I thought, oh well, this is just something that I would have to do to turn my vision into reality. But I actually enjoyed it, and that's when I learned as well. It's not so easy, and the end product is maybe a few thousand lines of code, but to get there and to have it tested and to have it working without bugs, that's where the lion's share of the time goes. So retrospectively, I got a lot of respect for programmers.
Well, there you go. Now, you talk something you mentioned to me beforehand was this idea of yours that well, you're really big into testing ideas out before you build them.
Right.
So why is that important for you, and how do you do that? Maybe that's something you can explain to people who are thinking of creating a product. What's this testing or pre-testing?
Right. I learned that the hard way, Alex. It's not like this came standard. I had to learn that the hard way. I have spent months and months of development on building a product before I then tested it with people, and then I found out like, oh, this is actually not relevant, or this was actually an idea that I got really excited about, but my target audience actually has different needs. And that's when you realize, like, okay, I really need to build products the lean way, meaning I need to, before I build anything, make a paper prototype of something, put it in the hands of people, and ask them, or pretend that this is your mobile phone, where would you tap? Or, ask them, hey, this is a screen. What do you think you could do here? And then, as you sit along with people, you sit next to them over coffee, they give you so much feedback, they give you so much insights that you then incorporate into your next paper prototype. Rinse and repeat. You do it again. You again sit down next to someone and you start testing, and then again you get feedback. And all those iterations, they take you a few hours maximum to improve on your paper prototype. And only when you're satisfied and you say, "Wow, this really hits the spot. This is the solution that people want," only then you start building it. And you saved yourself months and months of time by being lean and getting feedback up front. That's one thing. And the other thing is, you can also ask for money up front. You can also ask for people to pay for it. If you say, well, we're building this product and it's going to cost you, I don't know, 50 euros a month or something, you could say, but if you really believe this is a problem, you can have it for 10 euros a month, and I will never raise the price for you. So you have that for 10 euros a month for life. And often then you stumble upon some objections that you hadn't dealt with because you're asking for money, and that information is what you want early on, as early as possible. So yeah.
So I mean, in terms of support, then, what kind of support have you had or have you called up for over the years?
I started, like I said, I started out with outsourcing a lot. Thank God to the internet, you can outsource quite easily via platforms like, back then Elance, I think it's called Odesk now, or it has a different name, but
Upwork, yeah,
Upwork. Sorry, yeah, Upwork. So I started with that, especially development and design. I also just went to to meetups in Switzerland. Since we didn't have a network, you just want to meet with fellow entrepreneurs. That's how we met, actually. And that's a great thing to do. You just you go for open coffees and you meet fellow entrepreneurs and you help each other out that way. And at some point in time, I was working with this one developer. He's Russian, but lived in Canada, and we just had real good chemistry. We worked really well together. He really liked the project as well. And at some point in time, I just sent him the question, which is that, would you be willing to move to Europe to work on this project jointly, so that we don't work remotely anymore, but you actually, we can sit in the same office room and improve our way of working on this. And after some deliberation with his wife, he said yes, and they moved to Malta. So I got all the paperwork done. Him being a third country national. I mean, if it would have been somebody from the EU, as Malta is in the EU, it would be very easy to bring somebody here to the island. But being a third party national, it was quite difficult. But software engineers are sought after, so we got it done. And now he works from here. And I have to say, regardless of modern technology, Skype, Zoom, Hangouts, you name it, nothing beats sitting in the same room and working together. It's just a difference between night and day. And you get more work done. You get, you just understand each other better. When you don't understand each other, you know it. You pick up on it straight away. And that's been proving a very a fruitful working relationship. So I'm very, very happy about that.
So would you have done anything differently looking back as you set up this business?
Yeah, I would have definitely started testing and asking for feedback earlier. Like I said, I didn't come out of the womb with that knowledge ingrained in me. I had to learn it the hard way. So I have wasted a lot of time building stuff that I didn't thoroughly validate it by putting it in people's hands in a very rudimentary form. So I would have definitely done that differently. I also probably would have raised capital earlier, not just for the money, although the money is of course extremely important. But when you're in a capital raising process, you get feedback from investors, and depending of course who you have sitting in front of you, but especially successful investors, they can give you feedback on your business strategy or on your product, which is so valuable. And so I think as well, if your product that you ultimately want to sell, which I also want to come to, you can get early feedback on that as well by raising capital from investors. So don't wait until you've got a very profitable, flourishing business, but try and get an investor in early on, because then you'll get feedback whether you're on the right path.
So any more? So these are great tips, and we talk about testing, raising money. Any more tips that you'd pass on to an aspiring app developer out there?
Start coding. It has brought so many advantages. You don't know what you're buying if you don't understand coding. And I'm not saying that it's a recipe for disaster. It can work. There are many examples that it can work. But my goodness, if you know software engineering yourself, if you can do it yourself, it changes everything. Yeah.
Okay. Now, looking ahead, Alex, what's the future? What are your ambitions with the project and with your general entrepreneurial ambitions?
Right. So with this particular business, Kickdish, we are live in Malta, and we're gaining traction here, which is great. So it works. We have a product in people's hands that can actually allow them to plan meals and get groceries done in 10 minutes, and it's all seamless, which we want. And we want to launch this into the UK. And the reason is that the UK is the most advanced online grocery market in Europe, one of the most advanced in the world, actually. I think only South Korea has a higher penetration of people actually using online groceries. UK, it's about 39%. 39% of consumers shop online at least once a month, often 1.5, twice a month. It's a huge market. We particularly cater well to people with food intolerances, because these are the people that feel that they need to plan meals ahead of time, because otherwise you're just delivered to what's out there, and there's so much food out there. You can get food from every street corner, from any outlet nowadays. That you're no longer in control of your lifestyle, and it's so important for people with some sort of food sensitivity. So launching in the UK is the short answer, and from there launching in more countries.
Brilliant. Okay, Alex, I'd love to finish up on this question. So imagine it's your time to give back now. Who would you like to mentor, and why?
Right. So passionate entrepreneurs that have this product vision and that have some sort of personal connection to that vision because they experienced the problem themselves, that want to launch a business or grow their business and that need investment, mentorship. I would love to support those people and make their journey easier by hopefully preventing them from making the same mistakes that I made.
Brilliant. Okay, Alex, listen, I'm going to put down in the show notes below your website address, which is kickdish.com, and a few of the other things that we mentioned during the conversation. But I just want to thank you. Thanks very much for the interview. It was a lot of pleasure, and promise me that we'll do it again some other time. Thanks.
Absolutely. Alex. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Thanks.